Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the potential for not even the potential, it's just talking about a significant storm system that will be occurring across the northern US. And we'll be discussing the impacts, as this will definitely occur and is basically occurring across parts of South Dakota and will quickly spread into Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. It's a small system, but it's a very significant one. Some of the snowfall amounts with this one are just higher than we've seen with the big storms. Okay, so really a storm that is going to be impactful, up to a foot of snow possible over a widespread area. So that is definitely something we have to address. I'll be going over individual cities and National Weather Service, so stay tuned for that. Before we get into this video, consider subscribing to this channel. Consider liking this video. If you are a new viewer, to this channel, consider checking out my other videos and see if this channel is worthy of a subscription. If you're a recurring viewer, consider liking this video, as that really helps out a lot. So let's look at this storm system. So this storm system is going to be pretty unique, as it's a hybrid clipper. It's sort of a clipper. It's coming from the north, doesn't really have much moisture to it from the south up until a certain point. And it's hybrid because it has so much moisture with it. It's almost not like a clipper. So let's look at the HRRR model. This is a high resolution model. I also want to point out that there was some pretty heavy moderate snow across northern Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. That was a little bit unexpected. However, I didn't make a separate video on that as it was just really affecting a tiny portion of the US, and I can't really dedicate a whole video just for a tiny portion, as that's just I would have to upload 2 at least for that day if I wanted to make a more general one. So hopefully you understand. Again, some scattered snow showers possibly before that across Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, into West Virginia and Pennsylvania as well. There's some pretty actually impressive snow showers right now across the Pennsylvania and Ohio area and just the mid-Atlantic area. So that's pretty impressive as well. Now our attention focuses to the west. We have this low pressure 99H in millibars, and we have a good area of snow across Montana. And we are already seeing snow spread out into South Dakota on the radar. If I were to pull it up, which I will soon, we would see that there's going to be a band. There is a band of snow across South Dakota, and that's going to quickly spread towards Aberdeen, Sioux City, Minneapolis, northern Iowa, Fort Dodge, Mason City, and then into Green Bay, La Crosse, all those locations across Wisconsin by tomorrow morning. So notice, let's play this out. The timeline is right here. Anything that is 21Z22, this is all in European time or standard time, basically what the rest of the world uses. Just subtract 5 hours from this. So if it says it's 00Z, that's midnight. Subtract 5 hours from that, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 7 o'clock. So again, so if you're looking at 23Z, that is 8 o'clock. So let's look at this and notice I think it's a little bit delayed. It's having the snow spread a little bit further into South Dakota, with a little bit of a delay. The HRRR model maybe a little bit sooner than anticipated. But notice that it spreads into into eastern western Minnesota with this heavy band of snow. This is some very impressive snow banding. The snowfall rates with this system are going to be 1 to 3 inches of snow per hour, and that's what makes this a storm that's unexplainable. It's just very, very filled with moisture. It has very strong banding. It has a lot of upper atmosphere to work with it. That's why it's producing such heavy snowfall ratios and rates and ratios. But it has basically no moisture from the south. It technically should be moisture starved, but it's not, as it's producing very heavy snow. And you can see this spreads across into South Dakota, Minnesota, and eventually into Minneapolis. This band thickens and gets a little bit of moisture. You can see it's starting to kick up some little green areas. That's a little bit of rain, maybe a little bit underdone by the HRRR model, but the main support is going to come from this area across Missouri, Arkansas, and into Illinois, and that's going to affect into Sunday morning parts of northern Illinois. Notice into Iowa, we see this heavy snow right there, though, right by that ridge. We see extremely heavy snow, and that could be easily 1 to 3 inches. And you have to understand why this is a very tough forecast, as wherever this sets up is very tough to say, as this model so fluctuates. And It's very narrow. Look at that. I mean, this whole thing, is relatively thick. It's probably 200 miles, maybe a little bit less. But this heaviest snow band is probably right in here, and that is maybe 50 miles, and wherever that sets up is where it's going to get the highest amounts. Notice this thing really explodes in moisture. Again, not in moisture, but in snowfall width and rates across Minnesota and into Minneapolis. Get some snow. Minneapolis will be on the northern side of this. You can see Des Moines, Iowa, probably not getting too much out of this. Nebraska, not seeing much either. See, this thing takes more of a, instead of a negative tilt coming down into the U.S. to more of a neutral, just kind of west to east. And then this is, again, where we see that moisture support. We see this low pressure. It's constantly getting a bit stronger, even though it's not indicated by this. It's kicking up also with a little bit of a help of a low pressure, a little tiny surface low right here. That is also kicking up a little bit of moisture, and that is allowing these little bands, you can see right here, to develop into a full-fledged fuel of moisture into parts of Illinois and Indiana. So watch this, especially over the next hour. I'll play this. Let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller, this page, so it's better to look at. Again, watch this. Here's a time frame. This is 11 o'clock on Sunday. Not 11. This is 6 o'clock on Sunday, 6 in the morning, and you can see it spreading into northern Illinois, Wisconsin. Very heavy snow occurring at this point across southern Minnesota, Rochester, Mankato, into La Crosse, Wisconsin. Also seeing very heavy snow, 8 to 10 inches, very likely. This is now 7 o'clock. This is 8 o'clock. This is 9 o'clock. Notice how it really gets support of moisture from the south right here. Still going very strong across portions of Wisconsin, and it gets into a more filled system. It's more broad versus a tiny band across South Dakota. So really, South Dakota will be the one that's really tough to say where the heaviest will occur. Here will be a little bit easier as it's a little bit more broad, and heaviest snowfall will be falling across a more broad area. Notice this is some pretty intense precipitation, even some isolated thunderstorms, thunder cells would not be out of the question across portions of southeastern Iowa and into northwestern or northeastern Missouri and into western Illinois. This gets converted into some pretty heavy to moderate sleet, maybe even some snow. You can see it's still getting bigger, this moisture stream. The low pressure at this point is kicking a lot of this very heavy snow up into, down into the earth, down to the ground, surface level. And these snowfall rates are going to be pretty darn impressive right here, 1 to 3 inches as well. The only thing limiting this from being a giant system across, Illinois and Indiana is of the short time that's going to be around. It's not going to be a big system. It's going to be relatively short-lived. And you can see that moves across northern Illinois for several hours, transitions into sleet, into northern Indiana as well. Now the bigger portion, the northern portion, moves into Michigan, so that is delivering some pretty heavy snow as well over there. And then the transitions for northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin into some light drizzle rain as we lose some nucleation, and the dendritic dendritic zone is really going to be smaller and not as profound for snowflake production, as basically with this low pressure, what it does, while it delivers a lot of moisture, which allows the storm to really overproduce snow in these locations, it also at the same time keeps spinning up warm air behind it, and that just transitions a lot of this snow into rain across these locations. But it's gonna only be a short-lived rain event after the snow, but a quick 1 to 3 inches definitely not out of the question, and we've seen these type of systems overproduce quite significantly. So notice it moves off into the northeast after a while and through Michigan. Detroit, Michigan, seeing snow out of this as well, mainly moderate snow, and then transition maybe to a bit of rain. But notice total snowfall accumulations, I mean, they're ridiculous across portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Quite frankly, they are going to be very profound, very significant, and we've seen, again, storms like this overproduced. We've seen these storms drop up to 3 inches in an hour, and all you need is a couple of hours and you have a lot of snow. So even for portions of northern Illinois, it wouldn't be out of the question to see maybe up to 4 or 5 inches of pockets up to that much, and into northern Indiana as well. Notice that as we move into central Wisconsin, we get well over half a foot, reaching towards those double digits. And this is what makes South Dakota really tough to predict. Look at that. That band starts off really small, and where that exactly sets up is really tough to say. And it's basically going to be decided by the next few hours and the storm's exact track. Let's spend a few minutes to talk about what's going on in the National Weather Service, what they're saying. You can see winter storm warnings are issued, so winter storm watches for Minneapolis metropolitan area, and the winter storm warnings are well deserved, as this storm will be producing lots of snow. You can see they have 8 to 10 inches. That's a lot of snow, especially for such a small system. That is a ton of snow. You can see Winona, La Crosse, Toma, I'm guessing Rochester, Preston, Red Wing, all these cities in the realm of definitely up to 10 inches plus. You can see they have plus right there. So this could shift a little bit north, a little bit south, but generally, if you live across these locations, you'll get quite a good dose of snow. You can see across, these are your start times: 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So what you notice with this is it's very quick moving. It's progressive. It's not slowing down. It's not one of those systems that slow down. The onset of snow will be very quick, and you can see 1 to 2 snowfall rates at times. 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates will be definitely constant, I think, and really there, and they will be very common. Let's look at parts of South Dakota. I wanted to go in the northern section across the Aberdeen office, as that's most likely where it will really set up. You can see they're under winter storm warnings as well. The snow is starting if you look at the radar, and what they're having again is also some pretty significant snow, except the thing is, guys, this band is going to be very tight, very narrow, and where this exactly sets up is tough to say, and you can see that they have that marked by greatest uncertainty in amounts up to the north. I would say the south could as well be very uncertain as well, as this could shift to the south a little bit, and it's already starting across portions of the South Dakota area. If we were to look at the radar and look at western South Dakota, you could see that heavy snow is already starting, and you can see how narrow it is, so that would just be a nightmare to forecast. But if you live across these locations close to Badlands, Rapid City, you're getting some heavy to moderate snow. Let's look at Minneapolis. I want to quickly look at your forecast office, as it will be also a tough one. You can see they're still under a winter storm watch. They haven't decided whether it's a warning or an advisory yet. They will soon. It's a tough one again as well. It's very tough. You can see they're right on the border between 8 inches and then maybe 2 inches. So this maybe for the southern counties a little bit of winter storm warnings, but the northern should definitely be just an advisory. Let's go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee is another. Sorry, I have to go through all of this. Milwaukee is another state that's kind of on the border between the heavier and lighter snowfall, though it's a little bit more of a broader range. You could see 2 to 3 southeastern, maybe a little bit more, and then towards the northwestern sections is 5 to 7, 5 to 8 easily. So it's a very interesting system. Stay tuned to the radar, guys. Stay tuned to your National Weather Service. Keep your eyes on the sky, as that's the best thing you can do with this system. There's a lot of uncertainty still, but again, that's I guess the fun of weather. And notice that the National Weather Service in Chicago is also putting out 2 to 3 for northern locations, 1 to 2 into the south. So sorry I had to speed through those last 3 minutes, because people like when I do these cities and I look at them, but I have to be quick about it, as there's many cities, and there's again many cities I have to go through, and I have a limited amount of time. You can see again generally a pretty good event. This is expected snowfall, though this is a little bit weird, as this is at 5:54, and you can see there are only pockets of that orange color, which is marking 8 plus or 6 inch. Oh yeah, 8 inches plus. While the La Crosse office is putting out a broad 8 to 10 inches, and I think this is the more updated one. So I think if you were to look at a forecast, this is the one you'd be more looking at. Yeah, this is the one at 153. So thank you so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.